Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, first, let's begin by wishing our Prime Minister a very happy birthday. His 71st birthday is on the 17th of September. And for that, the BJP has planned a fortnight-long celebrations because it also coincides with his completing 20 years in public office on October 7th. So you have a fortnight of branding, of Build Up Modi, of Dhanyavad Modi. And of course, there are cynics that might say that, why is the need for all this branding happening? Because the whole idea of this drive is to show him as the messiah of the poor. This, of course, comes at a backdrop of what has happened during COVID at a time when the economy is down. So is this actually not just a felicitation program, but even a rebranding and a very smart rebranding program, in fact, something that the BJP is known for? Recently, also, we've had a survey by India Today which said that his popularity ratings had dipped to almost half. So given all that, is this a move to revamp the PM's image, or should we just take it for face value, a thank you Modi program? Joining me to discuss this and also to take a look at what is in store in the next round of assembly polls. Will Prime Minister Modi's image have a bearing in UP, for instance? Joining me for this conversation is Yashwant Deshmukh. He's a founder and director of Sea Water. I have Sanjay Kumar. He's a professor at CSDS. Ashutosh, founder and editor-in-chief of satyahindi.com. And Dilip Cherian, he is a brand manager, image maker, and of course, one of my favorite shows, guests on this show. Yashwantji, you've done a whole series of surveys also on the rounds of assembly polls. But before that, I want to take your take on this rebranding of Modi, as I call it. Do you agree with me that there is a need to build up his image? Kuch iske piche hai?
There is no need to build up the image. It is basically just like the premium one pays for the health insurance because no matter what people say and no matter how people analyze Uttar Pradesh and the leadership in Uttar Pradesh, the fact remains that 2014 mandate in UP and other states, it came because of Modi. 2017 mandate came because of Modi. 2019 because of Modi, not because of the chief ministerial candidates. And now going into this big round of elections, eventually what will count on the ground is the image of Modi. So without that happening, no matter how the chief ministers of BJP are marketing and branding themselves, how they are positioning themselves, the fact is without Modi, BJP is not likely to win any election. Forget about this election. That's the
Has his
bottom
image
line.
been dented? Has there been a little...
Well, there are stress lines. That's what our tracker also said, that there are stress lines. We started reporting this and then post April, particularly after 22nd of April to be precise, when COVID waves actually struck and the campaign in West Bengal continued at that point of time. And this is where everything went for a toss in that way. Yes, his ratings in our tracker went down right up to 36, 37 from a high of 65. We did a show on that. But since then, we have also said that that's the rock bottom that he hit at that point of time, and it has repaired. And now he is consistently maintaining himself at somewhere around 44-45%. The damage control has been done, but it is still not back to the previous halo that he is used to enjoy a rating satisfaction rating in the 60s, mid 60s. It's still not there, but slowly and steady it is kind of getting there. But probably people around him feel that this needs to repair even at a greater speed, before the elections happen. Because they know they have nothing else but Modi's charisma, Modi's magic, Modi's brand to sell to the people. They tried very hard. We have seen how hard they have tried pushing around the leadership at the state level by saying that, okay, these chief minister, this particular CM is very good and he has its own brand equity and he can pull, but it's not happening. That's a big deal. It's not happening. At the end of the day, they have to rely and count back on Modi's popularity. And this is why, even though his popularity is rating, probably the strategists around him feel that it is not repairing at the same pace that they would have liked it to repair. And so that is why the booster dose, that is why the second shot or or if I may say, it's the first shot, whatever way you want to look at it. So
Okay.
it's the premium.
Good point. But Ashutosh, Modi is the best bet they have, but his brand is slipping. So is the urgency because of UP or generally also because, there is a morale booster or booster shot, jo bhi kahe usko.
See, Priya, I think I slightly disagree with Yashwant when he said there is a stress line. They are not a stress line. There is a nosedive in his popularity in the sense, if you go by what the Mood of the Nation survey says, his popularity, he being a choice to be the prime minister was down by 2/3. So from 67, if it is coming to 23 or 24, so there is a drop of 44%. If you take that survey very seriously, then I think there are very, very serious issues regarding Mr. Modi's popularity and his credibility also. Because all through in the last 20 years, what he built that he is a great administrator. He's a great leader. He takes decisions. And then he's a Hindutva icon. But during the Corona crisis, what happened? He was not seen. I think for good 1 month, he was not seen. He was not seen to be taking decisions. And despite him, the fact that despite the messiah around, the people suffered and people were crying. People were running from one place to another place. People are feeling helpless. So that has cost him his popularity. And I'm not saying that he has become unpopular. No, that will be wrong to say that. He's not unpopular, but he's not as popular as he used to be. And if that continues, if that is not arrested, then there will be serious problems with the Bharatiya Janata Party. And I completely agree with Yashwant when he says, without Modi, BJP is nothing. And Modi carries with him at least 7 to 8% votes more than that. And if you compare the parliamentary election and the assembly election, the parliamentary election where Mr. Modi is an issue because people elect him. And it's like a presidential form of the government in that sense. So like in UP, in 2019 parliamentary election, BJP gets 49% vote, touching 50% votes. Whereas in assembly election, where BJP got more than 300 seats, BJP got only 39% votes. So this gap of 10% vote, imagine, even in this 39% vote is also because of Mr. Modi, not because of some of the Bharatiya Janata Party leadership. So if you take Modi away from the BJP, then BJP is in a serious trouble. But that's why BJP feels need, and BJP is quite worried. Anyway, Mr. Modi should also be worried that how to arrest this fall and how to reposition him as a great leader.
मोदी है तो मुमकिन है, so you have to build मोदी, नहीं तो मोदी के बिना बीजेपी बिल्कुल नामुमकिन है. So the whole exercise, we no arguments there. The point I'm asking to make, is there a need to refurbish his image?
I would say, see, if we look at how BJP contests election and how BJP takes elections, they take every election seriously. Bhawanipur election is coming in West Bengal. They are not going to take it lightly. They take every election seriously. Whether it is election for even Rajya Sabha, they take it very seriously. Remember the one seat which went, Rajya Sabha seat in Gujarat, when Ahmed Patel was contesting, how seriously they took that election. The point I'm trying to make is BJP doesn't want to miss any occasion. Yes, there is a dip in Modi's popularity, but I still believe that dip is not to the extent of BJP even on the verge of losing election. No, that's not the case. I don't see that happening. Modi's popularity came down because of one event, which is the event which unfolded around COVID-2, the mismanagement and the people's unhappiness around that. As soon as, if things remain normal as it is at the moment, I think people's confidence would start, people would start gaining confidence in Prime Minister Modi. And as elections come, 2024 is still far away. But I believe that a lot of these people who are at the moment seems slightly unhappy with Modi, they would again go and vote for Modi. They would again go and vote for BJP. So I don't agree that there is a desperate need for BJP to reposition Modi, but I think they don't want to leave any occasion. So this is an occasion. Prime Minister Modi's birthday is coming on the 17th of September. Prime Minister Modi would be completing 20 years in public life. They want to use this occasion to showcase Modi again.
Dilip, your take on the fact, this is a rebranding exercise, no arguments about that. But is the dip something that Prime Minister Modi should worry about or something that he can easily overcome?
just as Sanjay just said, you need to worry about everything. And that is the fundamental, only the paranoid survive was the motto that Andy Grove, who ran Intel, used to work with. Only the paranoid survive. So that's the philosophy that it's the philosophy which guides the the uh, the rules of engagement on elections. But let's go a little further. Prime Minister Modi is a bit like an F1 car, which is taking a pit stop at the moment, a quick change of tires, oil at high speed, and then to zip further ahead. That is the metaphor that I'd like to see. I'd like to talk about. I'm not saying the idea being that this is a highly precision driven racing car, and it knows what it's doing, and it recognizes that what it wants to do requires this pit stop. So that is why the celebrations around the birthday, that's why the need for all of this. The second thing is that don't forget that unless you are a multi-generation kind of leadership, every leader has to ensure that there is a certain enshrining of his track record during his lifetime, because you're not sure what's going to happen afterwards. So there is reason for this, because in the BJP, given that it's not a baton to the next generation kind of thing, and Mr. Modi is anyway doesn't have anybody who he needs to hand the baton over, which is family. Okay, therefore, when you don't have a family wad running a party, then celebrating a leader during his time and during his birthday is very important. That's the second point. And the third point is that this is actually vintage Modi. Modi loves it, he thrives in it, and he always benefits from it. He knows the buttons to press, and he will press those buttons to make sure that what Yashwant talked about, that the triggers needed to either stay or move up from the level that he's dropped to happen. But the fourth thing is that we need to understand that what Ashutosh referred to, the COVID factor and the nosedive factor, in terms of timing, September 17th is what I would call, not astrologically, a safe time. Because if a third wave is to happen, it is still a little way away. It may have reached Bombay, but there is still time. So I think that's the fourth thing to keep in mind, that great timing is also the secret of Modi's success. He knows when to do this, and this has come at the right time to do this review of 20 years in public life, review of 71 years of actual life, all of that. So this is something that he revels in, and he will do, and he will make sure that it gives him the step up that he's looking for.
But I agree with Dilip. Prime Minister Modi also, he knows how to be the face of good news. Yashwantji and we spoke about how his ratings really dipped in April when he was at his lowest, and there was really no sign of him in public. When his ratings, when COVID improved, his ratings improved, we saw him address us. And then, of course, once they see Modi, his ratings really shot up. Well, we're here discussing brand Modi, but part of brand Modi is, of course, his ability to win elections. So I have with me also Yashwant Deshmukhji. Yashwantji, can you, you've done a survey recently talking about the state, on the 5 assembly elections. If you can share the findings of UP and Punjab, that would be we can then take the conversation further with that.
So Priya, the problem is that I don't do just one specific survey. What I do is a tracker. I do it on a daily basis, and this is where, be it assembly election, be it Lok Sabha election, everything comes from that only. So what I have done is that I have logged in at the server just to show you what the latest trends are. If it is appearing on your screen right now.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I just want to show you two things, because at this point of time in September, we are in the best time to judge the last 6 months, particularly when the crisis started. So I'm showing you the data, see, somewhere around February onwards, and this is how the Prime Minister's personal rating, that is the satisfaction rating kind of thing. Look at that here, starting in February, and how along with the campaign, it started going down. And this is where in April I told you that, it just, the red line came up big time at one point of time. It was like dangerously close to taking over. But that since then, the slow and steady recovery has started. But it is slow and steady. Why I am saying slow and steady? The earlier highs of the prime ministers are like this. But when you compare it to the last, say, 3 months, the recovery is there. But see, it is still not reaching that kind of a high. Okay, now this is one thing. But why this is problematic for the opposition is simply because this gentleman's red line is still where it was, number one. Number two, if I go for the complete verbatim question of who is your choice to be the Prime Minister of India, this is the one. See, if I go in the last 6 months, see from the high of you can check it out. He is somewhere around 65, 66, 68 at one point of time, and then post COVID in the last 6 months it went down and down and down, and now look at the repairing. The issue here is that when you are repairing, the number two candidate is the red line, which is don't know, can't say. Here, the number two candidate is not even the main opposition guy. So this is where the issue is, and the gap has started building up again. So he is now back at his routine 44-45% kind of a zone, and this is slowly and slowly it will again reach. Once it crosses 50% point, that gap has become so huge that in the core states like the Hindi heartland, or the states where you can say that it is BJP versus the Congress, as Sanjay Bhai analyzes it, that still there is a huge number of seats, almost 240 plus seats, where there is no third party to have a play in. It is directly BJP versus the Congress, and this is where things go south for the opposition particularly, because in the states where you have the regional players, they can still stand up to the Modi Juggernaut and do something about it. Now this entire exercise right now is basically aimed at, let me see if I can pull out for something from Uttar Pradesh for you. I'm sorry about it's not that good to see on the screen, because it is my personal login to the data directly. But here you go. See, over here in UP, the repairing has been much better than what you saw in rest of India. Can you see that?
Interesting, actually, because we thought UP,
No.
the cases are very large, and Yogi was.
The thing is that in UP, Prime Minister Modi's image is better, repairing much better than the repairing of the state government's thing and repairing of the chief minister's thing. So this is why I am telling you that BJP needs Modi. No matter how they feel their chief ministers are, good and important and everything, no matter how they look about the future, that, okay, this is where they are going to get it. It's not happening to them. It's not the way it happens, So let's be very, very clear in this one, that BJP, even after positioning all their big leaders and everything, they know at the end of the day, it is Modi's charisma which is going to save the day for them. And as far as that charisma goes, its repairing is happening, but it might not be happening at the same pace that they would like it to happen. So they will just, and Dilip made a certainly wonderful point here, that this timing is pretty harmless to try that, because any branding exercise, if done during a crisis time, it backfires. So that we have seen. Even simple simple election rallies done in West Bengal, which, by the way, Modi was not alone to do that. Everybody was doing the rallies during that period when the crisis was going on. But just because public didn't want Modi to do the rally, his ratings went down. And the moment he stopped and the moment he started focusing on the vaccination program, and by the way, for another project we are doing for a university in the West, we are tracking about satisfaction with the vaccination and other things in order to cope with COVID. The satisfaction with the way the government is dealing with COVID is going high by the day. And that data is freely available, by the way, on our website. You can check it over there. And satisfaction with the vaccination also program, that is going up. And that kind of in a proxy is repairing the dent in that way. The only thing that can put up a log in that wheel is just like Dilip said, a third wave. If that comes and goes out of control, then obviously it's gonna be a disaster. But this is the silent period or lull, as Dilip said. I agree with him. It's a perfect time. Nothing negative as such coming at this point of time. Economy, no matter how it is kind of limping back, people are getting back to their job, schools are opening, vaccination is going okay. So at this point of time, this drive looks okay. And also, please remember, they need to have that surplus rating as well.
So when he falls in, there is
exactly.
There's a buffer.
They need to have that cushion. You see, Modi survived because he was already having his rating in 60s.
Got it. Huh.
He had that surplus of what you can say, as in my kids' video game, they have this sprinkle power or something like that to survive that thing. In a video game, then you get another life and come back. For that, you need to have 3, 4, 5 life you accumulate. So it is that kind. It might sound very weird and childish,
but it makes
surplus rating.
Okay, quickly, we have just 6 minutes left. So everybody, reaction to what Ashutosh, you first on the fact that he is still their best bet and way ahead of the others. So problem can't say.
But still, that doesn't mean that that BJP is going to win UP very comfortably. That doesn't. I've always maintained there is a difference between Modi's popularity and the BJP's popularity, and BJP right now in UP is in a mess. There is no doubt about it. And second thing, see the corona and all this thing. Why Mr. Modi got the hit? Because people believe that he is a great administrator. He'll manage whatever the crisis. He will manage. Will manage is dramatically. Will manage. He failed to do that, but people can still give him benefit of doubt because it's something which is beyond his capacity. That's how it should be projected, because it's a natural calamity in that sense. But if economy is not managed, if unemployment goes high, if urban people are very, very unhappy because their kids are not getting jobs, they go out, they can't buy things, that is going to hit BJP very badly. And if they don't manage economy in another 3 months time, take my words, BJP will have a very, very tough time in UP election and other elections also. Economy is the key. And I know many people do not believe me, don't trust me. They think that they take it for granted that if Mr. Modi is there, BJP will win. And I have been saying this for a very long time. Assembly election is a different kettle of fish. Parliament elections is a different kettle of fish. Assembly elections, BJP will have very tough time in Uttarakhand, in Goa, and in UP. And I'm putting my neck out.
And Punjab, of course, they're not a player at all.
They are not a player at all.
Sanjay ji, your take on what Yashwant ji shared with us?
What Yashwant ji was showing is not hidden from anyone. We have been talking about dip in Modi's popularity, but I would differ slightly with what Ashutosh said right now. Yes, BJP would have difficulty. I would just differ in a sense. BJP is not going to face huge difficulties in all the states which Ashutosh ji mentioned. I think BJP will have difficulty in UP. Compared to the comfortable victory they managed to register in 2017. But I still see BJP ahead of all other rivals in UP, much, much ahead compared to any other rival. Uttarakhand, yes, it is going to be a close contest. Uttarakhand has always witnessed close contest between BJP and Congress. It was only in 2017 that BJP registered a big victory. all other elections have been very narrow margins, 1 or 2 seats difference. So that's the kind of an election which we are going to witness in Uttarakhand. Very difficult to say which party has an edge. I think Congress should win Uttarakhand if they manage their house well. Goa, small state, very difficult to predict. But overall, I think, yes, BJP is down compared to their performance in 2019 or 2017. But I still think they are much ahead of their nearest rival in all the states.
Dilip, the last words to you, the concluding words to you. From what is your takeaway from all this?
I like what Yashwant has presented and predicated. I would only say that the fact of Modi's popularity being the only engine is a great thing to discuss, and that is probably the fundamental building block of the BJP. But as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, and I'm going to focus on that, as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, don't forget that he has in place a chief minister who is a reluctant partner in what Mr. Modi would like to do. So there is that pushback, and this is not a comfortable situation to go into elections with. You really should be a team that is in tandem and working absolutely in sync. So will that make a difference? My belief is, and my understanding is, that on the ground, this is operationally going to be one of the constraints. But having said that, they've also placed a very, very senior RSS functionary in Uttar Pradesh, and he's going to be camping there from now till February. So that will make a difference, because that will rein in the different factions which will come into play. And state elections always depend on how well the party machine is able to harness Mr. Modi's image. But on the ground, it's going to be the CM and his team which will make the decisions which make elections get won or are lost.
Okay. Ashutosh, I know you want to comment with, I think we've totally overshot the time. So if there's a quick intervention, then...
See, the only thing is that such a senior number 2 RSS leader has to be in Lucknow. That shows there is a serious crisis there.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. On that...
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Okay. On that note, I'm going to have all of you come back soon and do another discussion, because really there's so much left that is unsaid. But for now, thank you all for this conversation, and thank you for watching this show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.